was hardly inspiring, but somehow Perth come away with a point at Newcastle. Ella Abdul massive, a 93rd minute winner, sees the Glory girls defeat Brisbane and fill the park. Free tickets and rock bands. Will it be enough to wrangle the Glory faithful? Welcome to the podcast that's on more borrowed time than Ange Postecoglou. This is the Far Post Perth, presented by ID Athletic. Don't forget, now's the time to book your orders for 2025. Visit 84 House Street in Osborne Park or visit idathletic.com. Also, a big thanks to Dino Jubic and the team at Trio Homes. If you're looking to build, redesign or renovate, visit triohomes.com.au. Well, it was a decent weekend for Perth fans. Plenty to talk about in that regard. Night series is back locally. And, the three gents I'm going to do that with. Big welcome back to Neil Sherwin, mate. How's things?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm tired. 8 weeks into newborn life.
Yep.
Good luck with that when your return comes around very soon.
We're just in that twilight zone at the moment.
Yeah,
so
take all the sleep you can get. But otherwise good. Kansas City Chiefs made another Super Bowl, so I'm very excited about that. That's probably been the highlight. Forget all the development of my daughter. The Chiefs getting to another Super Bowl is the number one.
There you go. Who's the other team?
Philadelphia Eagles scum.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
A repeat of the Super Bowl a few years ago.
All right. Looking forward to that. See how all that plays out. James Renton, welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, Blayne.
How's things with you?
Not too bad. Just had a small surgery procedure.
No babies?
No babies, unfortunately. No.
That wasn't the procedure, was it?
Yeah, no, but it was nice at least to have my surgery at a time where I could come out and watch at least when Glory played better against the Jets, and I'm glad that I was under general anaesthetic for the first part at least.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Jaxon Bassett's with us, mate. How's things with you?
Yeah, pretty good. I was able to get down to HBF Park this weekend for the rugby, which was great. Good to see that.
Good crowd, I heard.
Yeah, very good. Sellout on the last day. It was a great weekend, and hopefully we can see that this weekend as well, filled with purple.
Yep, beautiful. We'll see how it all plays out. Boys.
Actually, just on that, sorry.
Go.
Can we rent the Kenyans? Is there any way
they were so good? They were so good.
Any way you can?
I heard they were plenty. Yeah, they were good fun. I heard.
Yeah, I went last year too. It's a pretty good event, to be fair. As much as I hate rugby, I went along for the novelty, and same thing this
year. Yeah, it was amazing. The Kenyans, funny, they played 2 games on the Friday, so they all congregated in one section, and then when their game finished, they all just left, and then the second game, they all came back to that section for the second game.
Reserved it.
I want to see the Kenyans against the Bay. There you go.
Shoot it.
Good stuff. Hey, boys, let's get started the way that we always do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. James, kick us off. What was good?
The drama in both of Auckland's games. Really enjoyed it. The late show, the Adelaide game, I thought was a good spectacle in particular, just because it was 2 very good teams going at it, and then the emotion for when Auckland got their equaliser. I just loved the reaction of both coaches in Calvitt and Steve Corica. And, I saw a few comments from some fans on social media that weren't too happy with Steve Corica's reaction. I quite enjoyed it because I think we could do with a bit more colour and a bit more spice with our coaches and our players. But yeah, Auckland, they've been putting on some very good performances, I would say, and some very entertaining finishes. And, their game against Western Sydney Wanderers was no different with Nato Moreno involved. And, you could see Stadge, he was very frustrated because it was a big opportunity missed for the Wanderers. Yeah,
mate,
absolutely.
He was bloody seething.
Typical, yeah.
You could see the smoke coming out of his ears.
Would not want to be in that dressing room, but it just shows that Auckland, they've built something very good so far, and it has been hard for a lot of expansion clubs the last few years in the A-League, and I think Auckland so far have done a very good job.
Jaxon.
Yeah, well, going back to James' point, I fully agree with seeing the reactions of both Calvet and Steve Corica on Wednesday night was brilliant. I think that's amazing to see the coaches getting, right in the face of the crowd and showing their disappointment and, the joy on Corica's face. And I think that's something that the Glory have lacked a little bit with Zrilic. I think he hasn't showed a lot of emotion and passion on the sidelines. And I get sometimes that it's best if a manager just keeps his cool and focuses on the game. But I do want to see him show that extra spice and passion. So it was a shame that we haven't seen that from him, but it's been great for Ved and Corica, and look where they're on the table. It's been very good.
Keep going, mate. What was good for you?
That kind of was it. But I'll switch up and say that, the Glory women was stopped short of that and say it was very important that they got that win, and it was good that they managed to get that last minute goal because they've been on the wrong end of that a few times this season. So to get that win against a really good team in Brisbane, real positive.
We'll go in a bit deeper into the that result on the weekend. Neil, what was good for you, mate, over the last little period?
Over the last little period, Victory and Sydney continuing to struggle. Two traditionally top teams, big supporter base, money, all of that, and they're sitting 6th and 7th. So it's nice to see different faces at the top. I don't have anything against Auckland or Adelaide, really. 1 and 2, and both good stories. Adelaide have lost one game this season, which is a very impressive record. But yeah, it's nice to see Victory and Sydney both struggling for form. Victory, I know they beat Sydney, but they've won one in the last 5. They do have a great chance to play themselves back into form this weekend because they play Glory. But Sydney have lost 2 in a row and drawn the one before that. So neither in great form. One or both may not make the 6. I think one will sneak in and maybe one then misses out. But yeah, it's nice. It will be a nice narrative for both if they didn't get in.
Yeah. We got no arguments with that. It is always good just to see, I guess, a new side at the top and being competitive. I guess we haven't seen Adelaide kind of where they are for a little while. Auckland, of course, I don't think we could say much more about them. They've been a revelation and brought just a freshness to the league, I feel. So, good stuff. My good, boys, was I snapped a bit of a photo from the night series on Friday night. Full stands, full bar,
exactly
plenty of people
see.
around the fence line and everything else like that at Doreen Gardens on Friday night, where obviously I'm affiliated with. But I thought it was fantastic. I couldn't tell you what the other two, I guess, crowd figures were like, but it was a good start on Friday night and some pretty good football as well.
Very good, because we did mention it quite a fair bit on the last podcast about how it's important for, especially the night series coming on, that fans should come down. And obviously with the story of Mandurah and what it's like with their fans, it's just a good opportunity for WA football fans in general when Glory aren't playing, just to get out and support your local team. Yeah,
and even if you are a diehard Glory fan, I mean, there's plenty that support the team locally and then support the Glory because they're the local team at that level. But there's plenty of people without a affiliation locally that do go and support the NPL, and plenty got out down to Armidale on what was that, Saturday night. So good stuff there. Keep us going with your bad, James.
We sort of touched on it, but Sydney FC's form, given that there was so much hype around them and their squad, with the high profile players that they've got, and the fact that they are in the position that they are in, they should be under severe pressure, I believe, and in particular their coach Ufuk Talay. I think there's been a lot of criticism towards Talay for his inability to fix up Sydney's leaky defence, because Sydney have been a team that have looked quite exciting at times going forward, but especially whenever they lose the ball and teams catch them, they've been found out on quite a few occasions, and the Brisbane 4-3 result was no doubt a very disappointing one. And they've conceded quite a lot of goals. They're 7th. I mean, yes, they're still very much within touching distance of the teams ahead of them, but they need to start getting on a better run of form sometime soon. Otherwise, the calls for Talay to go, which have started to surface, will only get louder, in my view.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think in many people's eyes, they have been a little bit disappointing. I can recall everyone's predictions. I think we all had Sydney pretty
towards the top.
Yeah. Interesting times. Jaxon, what was bad?
Probably missing Lockie Wales' goal because I was taking a piss. That was probably the most frustrating thing on the weekend. I was at a mate's place, and it got to that point in the game, and I was like, nothing's happening, so I'll pop off quickly. And
I reckon you had about a 90-minute window because nothing was happening for the Glory for about that period.
Yeah, the one bit of good play that we had in the second half emerged then, and I came back and I was with my mates, and they were like, "Do not come back in. You're not allowed back in."
That actually happened to me. The 2011 FA Cup final when City beat United.
Thanks, Neil.
I missed Yaya Toure. I was the semi-final. I missed Yaya Toure's goal. I was up the gentle resort with the supporters club, went for a piss, missed the goal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've got my own little story like that. I think we're at the Elephant and Wheelbarrow back in the day.
That's a throwback.
And Adriano Pellegrino, there's a name for you, scored an absolute belter. I don't know why I was at the Elephant rather than at the game, but the game was at HBF Park. For some reason, we're at the Elephant watching it. There was a couple of us there. pretty much got told to go back to the toilets because it was the only it was the only time they were probably likely to score was when when I went to the gents. But interesting. Where are we up to? Bad, Neil.
I'll just correct myself. It was against Stoke. It was City beat United in the semi-final of the 2011.
That's even worse.
Yeah, that was a 1-0 game again as well. Bad. Western Sydney Wanderers crowds.
Yeah.
In and around 6,000 to 7,000 every week. They have a home game. It's just a massive fall off. It's pretty grim watching. Parramatta's a great stadium, obviously, and they're probably never going to fill it, but really should be cracking Auckland style numbers. From given the I just feel it's just another example of mismanagement across the league, that you've had so many people disillusioned for whether it's some people don't do themselves any favours, but there are problems around active support, around policing, around crap results, around, bad ownership. So I think that all those things combined have just seen a fall off in Western Sydney across the last probably 4 or 5 years. And I still think the appetite is there for people to come back, but it's a bit like Glory. What reason are they giving people to go to the games? Wamata was a nice sugar hit signing, but even that, once people have seen him once and got a selfie, like, are they going to go back and watch more Western Sydney games, especially if he's on the bench or playing 20 minutes? No. So, yeah, Western Sydney was a really good news story, but not so much anymore.
I put something out on Twitter and basically just went through the averages, and they're pretty bleak for some of those big clubs. We spoke about it on the pod last week, and it's the Melbourne Victories and the Sydney FCs and the Wanderers that really need to be leading the way.
Yeah.
We spoke about the contrast to Adelaide crowds, and don't get me wrong, Adelaide's stadium goes a long way to making sure you have a nice kind of melting pot of an atmosphere. And even if you only get kind of 9 or 10,000 there, it's still good because of that stadium. But if you get 9 or 10,000 at Amy Park, or heaven forbid the Sydney Football Stadium or Parramatta, it's terrible.
Because the RBB, when I did watch bits and pieces of the Western Sydney Auckland game, they're a bit sparse, and you could hear the drums, but you couldn't hear the whole stadium engaged like you would normally hear a Western Sydney game. So that for me was a bit disappointing given the spectacle of the game.
Yep. My bad, and I guess it's something we can speak about for you guys that do follow a little bit more of the EPL, but Ange Postecoglou in the situation
that was not going to be my ugly.
Well, I'll let you carry on because that's my bad, mate, but what are your thoughts on
it? For right or wrong, I think he's on borrowed time. And that's the obvious statement of the year, I know, but you can't have the record that he's having. When Sky Sports did the stat that had only Southampton having a worse record, I think it was after 10 games, or their last 10 games. Tottenham were the second worst in the Premier League. And yes, they've had a lot of injuries, and yes, a lot of things haven't gone their way, but you can very much argue that a coach earns their money more when things aren't going well versus when they are. And when Ange Ball works, it's fantastic. And we saw that at the start of his tenure at Tottenham, how they really got going. And they got some pretty big results. I mean, they beat Jaxon and my team, Man United, quite early on in the piece, but you could just sense this feeling that they were building. But Tottenham right now aren't going anywhere, and they look in ways sort of rudderless. And yes, not having some of their key players there doesn't help, but Ange needs to find some solutions. Yes, they've got an opportunity in the Cup where if they can beat Liverpool and get to the final and win it, then, that's going to be something massive for them. But, they've got to find some short-term solutions to try and alleviate some of the pain. Otherwise, Ange could be in a bit of trouble, which would be a shame.
You brought up a good point, Jaxon, when we were speaking about this off air. What's the difference in finishing 8th compared to finishing 15th? There's not much when you're at this point of the season.
Yeah, for Spurs, that would be the case. But also make the point as well, if they go on and win a trophy this season, then it's almost as if all is forgiven, because that's all Spurs have been craving, really. If they win a trophy and finish 15th, I don't think their fans will care. I think their fans will...
Are they still in the Cup?
Yeah, they're still in the...
It's Carabao, isn't it?
They got the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg against Liverpool next week. They're 1-0 up from the first leg.
All right.
But they're also in the FA Cup. And
they're still in the FA Cup.
And they're in the Europa... Or they're a very good chance
just about in
getting,
the FA Cup, yeah.
There's still a very good chance of getting automatic qualification for the knockouts of the Europa League. And, if they get players back, and if Ange can turn it around, which I truly believe he can, then they are a very good chance of winning that competition as well. And I think I look at the managers that Spurs have had in the past, and you look at Conte and Mourinho and Nuno, and you look at where they've gone on to now, you've got Conte at Napoli, who's first in Serie A. You've got Mourinho in Turkey doing well. You've got Nuno in third, Forest. And it's only Ange's second season as well. So, just get through the wave. I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think they're good enough to avoid that. So just stick with him, and I think things will turn around.
Oh, there's definitely 3 teams that are worse than Tottenham.
Well, I would have said Leicester are worse than Tottenham, and then look what happened last week.
True,
So
true.
I think there's a serious case of Aussie bias when it comes to Ange.
Oh, there is. There is.
His results are dreadful. It's disgraceful that Spurs are in 15th. Injuries or not, it's dreadful. And there is a big difference between 8th and 15th.
Yep.
It's optics. You're trying to sign players for next season. It's also prize money. Spurs are notoriously stingy when it comes to their wage bill. They don't pay the top tier wages. Now, that obviously hinders them in terms of their league position. They're probably not going to win the league because they don't pay hundreds of thousands a week for the best players going. But they should be in the top 4 to 6 every season. They were in the Champions League final a few years ago. They've had good runs in the past. Now we're trying to justify them being 15th in the Premier League. If they weren't in the Cup semi-final, Ange would have been sacked. If they lose to Liverpool next week, I think he'll be sacked. And would it be the wrong decision? Probably not. The issues with Spurs run deeper than just Ange, though, because as mentioned previously, there's been other good coaches who have gone on to other things. I would be loath to put Ange in the category of Mourinho and Conte just yet until he actually wins a major trophy. Those 2 coaches have done very, very well for themselves. But you're talking about second season. It's not his first season. He had his feet under the table last year. He was the one that said he wins things in his second year. If he gets knocked out of the Cup and then FA Cup as well, and he doesn't deliver that trophy, he's put that rod on his back himself. I think they need a top half finish and a trophy for him to survive. I think if they lose in the Cup, he's gone. I think if they get to the Cup final and lose and he finishes 14th, 13th, I think he goes as well in the summer. So I think he's very much on borrowed time. And unless he wins a trophy and finishes, say, 7th, 8th, they're on track to have their worst points haul in Premier League history. How do you survive that?
They've got Villa away in the Cup as well, which doesn't get any easier.
But how do you survive? How do you justify that?
Yeah.
Take the Aussie blinkers off. We all want them to do well.
No,
it was a great story when he got there, and we're willing him on success. But the results are shit. They are terrible. And yes, he's playing 18-year-old Archie Gray at centre back, and it's not ideal. And he's having to rely on absolute spoofers like Timo Werner and guys like this. But they're the cards you're dealt. You're there to get results. And he's stubborn as well. He's stubborn in his philosophy, his tactics. He doesn't bend. And sometimes that's to his strength. But sometimes you have to dig your heels in and be pragmatic. And I don't think he knows how to do that. So I think he's gone. Put it long story short, I think he goes before the end of the season.
Interesting.
Well, give me a reason why he should stay.
No, not at all. No, I'll just, mate, as someone who doesn't really watch much of the Premiership.
It hasn't been called the Premiership. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
I'm old school, mate.
But look, any coach that loses Harry Kane and his goals, right, is starting on the back foot, which is what happened to them last year. They tried Richarlison, they've tried Werner, they've got Solanke in now. None of them are ever going to replace Kane's goals. And as I said, the wage budget doesn't allow them to bring in £150,000 a week striker. So yeah, he was starting from a tough base. 15th.
Where does he? All right, so say he goes. Does he get another shot in the Prem?
No.
He doesn't?
I don't think so.
He's an unproven quantity, so to speak, in the Prem. Because why would a Prem team want to bring him on, so to speak? Because if they ignore Tottenham, his resume isn't exactly that exciting for a Premier League team that would want to be in the top 10 or top 8. If we're taking away the Australian bias, yes, you can say what he did at Celtic and Japan was fantastic, but in comparison to where some of these other coaches are coming from, he would. The
issue you've got with Ange is that it takes time to embed his style. So even if you look at a newly promoted team, for them it's about survival because of money, right? They need to stay in the league. They don't want to go straight back down. Would a team like that hire Ange when they know it might take a year? No, not at all. So which established Premier League teams are going to bring him in and know that it might take him a year? He might get a good championship gig. Could have done like your lot and go to somewhere like Leeds, for example, in the championship. A big
Daniel
fish down there.
Has got us absolutely flying at the moment. So
and then they go to the Premier League, and then it all
back
comes
down
up.
again.
So, but you look, it's that sort of big club job that I reckon. Go on, you're biting your tongue over there.
I am.
it's a big club job in the championship. Is something that he could go as a project. Somebody who's big down there with a big stadium, big following, and something like maybe I don't know, a Sheffield Wednesday or traditionally a big like Forest would have been a few years ago. There's teams, Cardiff, someone like that gives him the time, gives him the resources. Or he just goes off to Japan again, or he comes back here, or he's in his 60s now. So and that's probably another thing. It's not like he's a progressive 41-year-old coach. Do you take the punt on a guy who's in his 60s who's going to take a couple of years to see if he is actually going to be a success? I think this is his one shot. Do not miss your chance, your opportunity, and all of that. So, yeah.
Mum spaghetti. Cool. Ugly, James. You just had your ugly.
Yep.
Sorry, Jaxon.
I'll stick with the Premier League, and it's probably a good sign that most of the uglies are coming from England and not from Australia anymore. You probably watched the Wolves Arsenal game and saw the red card decision, which I thought was pretty disgraceful. And the other funny thing as well was don't know if you noticed, on the Premier League website, they've got a section which goes through high foot challenges. And I don't know how long this has been a thing for, but the picture that they've put on there as an example of a high foot challenge is when Doku kicked McAllister in the chest, and it wasn't given as a foul, and VAR didn't intervene at all last season.
Wasn't a foul. Wasn't a foul.
Just thought that was quite
He
funny.
put his chest down.
Probably not
He chested the boot.
Probably not. I don't know who decided to put that picture up, but maybe not the wisest move from that person.
Keep us going there, Neil.
Going back to the A-League. Wellington, two things. One, the shit football that they're playing at the moment. It's horrendous to watch. I can't watch another 90 minutes of
Where have
Wellington.
they gone wrong? What's happened, do you feel?
They're just relying on the counter-attack. They're relying on 4 teams into submission, pump the ball over the top to Barbarousas and hope to catch teams going the other way. It's miserable. Absolutely dreadful to watch. I've sat through too many of their nonsense now, and it's just annoying me. So I hate their stadium as well. That's aesthetically not really pleasing on the eye. And the other thing on them, they wore their away kit at home against a team in yellow. So they wore all black against the Mariners, who wear yellow, and it looked like a Mariners home game because all the crowd were in yellow, being Wellington fans. I believe it's for sponsorship reasons that they have to wear the home and away kit.
The black one,
So they wear but for me, it's a home kit. You wear it at home. This woke nonsense.
Game's gone.
Game is gone. Teams wearing their home kit at home to please, away kit at home to please sponsors. Normally, it might not be that big a deal, but they're playing against a team in yellow. Like it's aesthetically stupid.
No, I get it.
That's 3 reasons.
I get it. My ugly, and I'm going to put it down as an ugly, but I'm going to ask the question around the culture at the MacArthur Bulls.
There is one.
Obviously, well, it follows Dino Arslanich incident.
Do you know who I am? I play in the A-League.
Yeah, but obviously,
do you know what? You could put him in a lineup with 100 A-League fans, and maybe
no one would
2 of them might have picked him out.
Well, exactly
I wouldn't have.
No, exactly right. But I mean, going back to last season, obviously the betting saga and everything else like that. I mean, they're a very, very local team to a very, very local area.
Dwight York's issues.
Dwight York's issues. I do worry. Is the trophies in the bank enough to be able to keep growing, or obviously
I can't stand MacArthur.
You can't stand him?
Yeah, I can't stand
I don't get excited for him, put it that way.
Yeah, well, I can't stand the Cowbells. I mean, they're not a team that you. It's one of those teams that I've got to gripe with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've already got the Wanderers in that area that appeal to the west of Sydney, so to speak, and you've got MacArthur in a similar area.
Oh, I mean,
you can talk about the geographics, but then you can also look at the constant issues that are around MacArthur for whatever reason doesn't necessarily put them in the best of light in my view. So
I don't know what they're trying to be.
No, this is the issue. We've spoken about this many times.
And look, it does ultimately fall down to the geographical aspect of it, because MacArthur, like, you look at global fans, where the fuck is MacArthur? Same with Western. Where is Western United?
Yeah.
At least Auckland. Yeah. You know where Auckland is. Yeah. Canberra. You know where Tasmania. You know, these are. I just don't see the point of MacArthur. I never did. I never saw the point of MacArthur, and it's proven that way. I mean, you can even say, where the hell is the Central Coast? I mean, it's not the centre, is it? So these ambiguous names for clubs. Just what are MacArthur trying to be? Who are they trying to represent? And how are they going to grow? I just don't see how or any reason why they should be in the league.
Well, I mean, and this goes back to whether teams should be starting at the top, bring them through, whether it's worth bringing them through local leagues and then promoting once they've got themselves a little bit more of a fan base.
Your point was about culture, right? So, so if MacArthur are going to be given a license and people are already pissed off with them, it's up to them to turn people's opinions around on them and say, all right, you know what, MacArthur didn't want them in the league, but they have brought this, they've brought that, they are actually contributing something.
Well, they haven't brought anything.
To your point, they're just negative headlines on the regular.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why should they be there? I know there's no real way of revoking licenses unless you're Tony Sage and Perth Glory. But yeah, if there was a system, if it was like a Hunger Games of sorts, MacArthur would be, odds would not be in their favour.
No, certainly wouldn't be. Boys, I think we got through everyone after all that. That was a bit of a mouthful to get there, but we might take a bit of a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll have a bit of a look at what's happening around the Perth Glory. You're on the Far Post Perth podcast.
Tired of the same old cookie cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Welcome back to the Far Post Perth podcast. Big thank you to ID Athletic and, of course, Trio Homes. Plenty happening around the A-Leagues, plenty happening at Perth Glory. Gents, it wasn't a bad weekend to be a Perth Glory fan. Of course, that somehow the men walk away with a 2-2 result after a pretty stinking performance, it must be said. And then, of course, Sunday afternoon, it was brilliant to see the Glory Girls have a win.
Much better.
3-2 over Brisbane. Let's talk about the men's game quickly. I don't know how they pulled something out of that. And if you're a Newcastle and Rob Stanton, you'd be
fuming.
You'd have blokes up against the wall, surely.
Yeah, it was a poor performance. It was a big backward step. The first half was dreadful. Just the press, we reverted back to the crap that we saw in the first half of the season. Newcastle didn't change any part of their approach for when they played us at HBF Park. They were creating chances in the exact same way they did at HBF Park. They were manipulating our press the exact same way that they did at HBF Park, and that was something that disappointed me. And just the fact that we didn't pick up on the warning signs early enough disappointed me. Newcastle creating too many chances in the first half was really disappointing to watch back. I did, though, like the last 10 to 15 minutes, though, if we're going to talk about one positive. I mean, to sort of jump ahead a little bit on that starting lineup, I would love to see the front four of what we ended with Taggart, Pearman, Wales and Anasmo, because I think that's exciting, that's direct, that's going to cause chaos, that's going to be a bit more unpredictable rather than just what we were for 60, 70 minutes where it was just the hopeful long ball and not really having any idea what to do. So unfortunately more negatives than positives for me coming out of this game.
I was just going to say, Jaxon, it was the same old names for Newcastle that kind of tore Glory apart. It was like they hadn't learned their lesson from the home fixture with the Clayton Taylor running riot. Who else did they have? The Eli Adams running. What did he hit the bar 3 times? I think
Dobson with a miss of the season.
Yeah, they were just. It was, as I said, it was almost like they didn't learn their lesson regarding the players from the first fixture.
Yeah, we got bailed out by a bit of individual brilliance and also the fact that Newcastle didn't take their chances. Like you said, they hit the woodwork 3 times, and then when you look at the Glory's goals, it was Taggart just doing all the work himself for the first goal to win the ball back and get the penalty and score it himself. And then with the second goal, again, Taggart was the Taggart was the reason for it. You can look at an Asmo's run, but Taggart's the one who initiated the block and got the rebound to Wales, who tapped it in from close range. So, I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can either look at it as, well, we didn't play well, but we managed to get a draw, which is good. Or you can look at it as, we drew, but we didn't play well. I'm probably more in the positive camp just because we saw a lot of new faces, and I think I think we've posed the question, like, with all these new signings coming in, is it gonna cause a bit of disruption and flow to what we had before? And I think that was the case, but I think we'll get better as the weeks go on, and I think it's a lot better that we're managing to get results when things aren't going well compared to early when we were getting smoked and smashed. So that's what I take away from that.
Neil, there was almost a chance at the end there that Joel and Asmo almost shithoused it for us.
Should have scored, if we're honest. It was a really good opportunity. And but it would have been the ultimate smash and grab because they didn't deserve a draw, really, for me. Played well the last 15 minutes, but the first hour or so was just a complete slog to watch. As James mentioned, the press was non-existent. They were so pedestrian with their defensive pressure. The misplaced passes. I mean,
so many times.
The chance that was mentioned around Dobson's miss, and I know, it was a sitter, but that came from Risdon playing a pass inside to nobody, and it was just intercepted on the counter attack. Little bit of pressure applied, but not enough. Ball played out wide, and then obviously the chance. And even the first goal with Adams, he was able to run in a straight line and have a soft press again, roll the ball into the corner past the keeper. I mean, it was definitely backward steps because we had seen, despite the fact that Glory had lost to Western Sydney, they'd played really, really aggressively. And I felt that aggression in particular was missing for the majority of the game, and it was only towards the end when it was more so out of desperation than design, which that happens to teams when they're losing. They will get desperate and they'll really try and push and try get at an equaliser, which they did get. But the fact that it took 75 minutes, having seen it earlier in games previously, just wondering why that happened. Were they tired? Was there the journey involved? Sydney and then a bus up to Newcastle, all that. There was quite a bit of cramp in the game as well from the Glory players. I know we've mentioned the underdone thing. I know it was a warm day, but even still, it did look like there was a few players clinging on towards the end. So I was quite optimistic going into the game, as in I did tip them not to lose, and that for me is optimistic this season. And that's how it came. You look at it, they got a 2-2 draw away to Newcastle. The standard result was a 5. You had that stat last time, Jaxon. 5 out of 6 now have been 2-2 draws.
It's only the last one that wasn't.
6 of the last 7 have been 2-2 draws. So it's the standard, go to Newcastle, shithouse a 2-2 draw and come home. But I just don't feel good about it.
No, neither do I. I kind of was like, how the hell did they get the points there? Boys, we're going to go through and have a bit of a look at the transfers in a quick second, but was there anyone out of the transfers that really kind of stood out for you guys? Obviously, Lachie Wales with his first goal, but it was a bit of a cameo.
Wales, yes. I thought Yuto Masao looked solid, albeit it was a small cameo.
Didn't get much of it, did he?
Didn't get much of it, but seemed to hold his own well, and it's like I'd want to see a little bit more just to see what he's like. Morta Kudus, he was okay. Patrick Wood, I thought, despite his work rate, the decision to put him at centre forward and shift Jalen Pearman out wide was stupid. Jalen Pearman had been fantastic as a number 10, and we did the same thing that David had done at the start of the season, where he'd shifted players around and it just wasn't working. Like, I remember he had Pennington as a number 10 at one point, didn't work. Bugari as a winger didn't work. Ayama, and it's like, you've got players that play in a certain position. Yeah. Play them in their position. If you want to have Patrick Wood in, play like a 4-4-2
This
diamond.
is the issue. I have a massive, massive chip on my shoulder about this Patrick Wood signing. Do you want it now or do you want it later?
Well, we can talk about it
we'll
now.
go now. Yeah. So Patrick Wood's a decent player. I have no problem with that, right? But it's the circumstances in which they've signed him. So he'd signed the contract to be here 3 years ago. Reneged in at the last minute, stayed in Sydney. Now he's coming back. He's obviously worked with Zrilic in the past. Zrilic trusts him. They needed a David Williams replacement. All of that. Fine. they've signed him on loan, and there's no, as far as we're aware, view to a permanent move here, right? And Sydney FC in their release said, we're happy for Patrick to go to Perth to get game time. Of course they are. They've got a team in the same league, giving a player who's on their bench minutes. Why are Glory doing this? Why are they bringing in Patrick Wood on loan to play games in a season where they're not going to make finals? They're not going to win anything.
So why wasn't he signed as an injury replacement? Just a straight signing as an injury replacement?
Well, he's a loan sign because Sydney want to keep him.
Yeah, right.
And he'd be on contract, wouldn't he?
He's
26.
Sydney want to keep him for next year, or they may mutually terminate him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But now they've got the cake and they're eating it.
Yeah, exactly.
They get the player right. So I want to know what the benefit to Perth Glory is this season of bringing in a striker from another team, taking a position away from Jalen Pearman. That pissed me right off when I saw the lineup. I knew he was going to play central because Wood has played on the wing at times, but I knew that Pearman was the one that was going to be shunted. That's ridiculous for his development and his performance.
Surely Wood's a better winger than, or more suited to a wing than.
But then if you play him on the wing, why should he start ahead of an Asmo or someone like that? Why are we taking minutes away from Glory players for a Sydney FC player?
And you could literally see Pearman, the fact that he was playing in a position that was unfamiliar to him, but he also kept losing the ball.
Yeah,
and he doesn't normally lose the ball, but he was because he was receiving the ball in positions that he wasn't familiar to. He was not impacting the game at all. I felt
sorry for Lizolowski because he was playing at left back and Pearman was playing in front of him, but Pearman was standing in the centre circle quite a lot of the time, naturally drifting inside. Lizolowski had the whole wing to cover by himself and was exposed a couple of times with balls in behind. I think it was the one where there was a ball in behind for Dobson to run over the bar. But Lizolowski, is watching the winger, but he's also watching the whole channel. So I just, if they were bringing in Patrick Wood now to trial him and then sign him at the end of the season, great. But if they're bringing him in now to play him and send him back to Sydney, why would you do that to take minutes? I'd love to know the reasoning behind, other than I know who he is, I trust him, and I think he's a good player. But that's great. But where is the long-term benefit to Glory to this signing? The only team that this signing benefits is Sydney FC.
Yeah. No, take your point. Certainly take your point. Let's, before we have a bit of a deeper look at these transfers, Perth Glory girls, Jaxon, I thought they were good. I watched most of this match on Sunday. I thought they kept themselves in it beautifully there. They got a bit of luck there, but you make your own luck some days. Caitlin Douglas, I thought, was brilliant. That's 3 goals in two starts for her since she's been back. I thought Gabby Holler was pretty busy as always. They've without a couple of decent players. Georgia Cassidy was out, so
got subbed off pretty early on. Yeah, they were great. Had a lot of good moments in transition in the first half where they were getting the outnumber on Brisbane. Probably should have made a couple more of them count.
Yep.
And the press was really good too. That's how
I thought their pressure was awesome.
Yeah. There's just a lot more coordinated and executed well. The timing of everything was good. I think Douglas as well for the second goal. It's just very intelligent. It's going to be hard for me to demonstrate, obviously, with a podcast, but the Brisbane keeper, Sekini, she was looking out. She was looking out for a pass, and Douglas just angles her run perfectly to stay on the blind side.
Like a bat out of hell comes in.
Yeah, and just came in and got the interception before Sekini realised, and got the goal, and then
it's like the old, remember the old, the striker kind of hiding behind.
Dion Dublin did it. Shay Given,
That's right. Yeah. Hiding behind the goalpost.
And the free kick was superbly taken at the end there.
Foot like a traction engine.
Are we allowed to blame the wall a little bit on that?
Yeah.
I think she knew it as well because
spotting the gap is great, but the wall. If I was the goalkeeper, maybe the goalkeeper should have set the wall up better. To be fair.
Well, one thing I noticed is that as soon as the whistle blew, she was straight on it. And
did it go through the wall, or was the wall not placed right?
I think it went through it, didn't it?
I think they had like 4 on the wall, and then there was another 2.
Yeah.
And then like the one who was furthest came in as the shot was coming in, but it was far too late and it hit far too well for any defender to get a touch on it and take it wide.
They literally could have had someone on the goal line as well, because there wasn't a Glory striker anywhere near it, so you weren't playing anyone on. That was the other thing that I found.
Yeah, probably not the best, not good defending for Brisbane, but hey, we'll take it.
No, exactly right. Let's have a bit of a look at some of these transfers, boys, because, there's been a few go. I think none other than the lad that's just gone from Sydney. Gone from Sydney to
that's right.
Matthews. That's right.
Yep. Hayden Matthews has gone from Sydney to Portsmouth. That's that was worth a bit. James, you're probably a little bit more over this than I am.
1.2 mil, I thought.
Yeah.
And like we discussed last week on the pod, it's great to see young Australian players coming through the A-League, getting big moves overseas to Europe. And like I said also on the podcast last week, this is something that should excite everyone connected with Perth Glory, with some of the talents that we've got in Jalen Pearman and Adriano Labib, who, in my view, if we do our business correctly, we should be getting some very big fees for, because they are very, very talented players.
And this is, I feel, where we've got to get a little bit more savvy to make sure that the money coming into the Australian ecosystem, so to speak, does get filtered back to junior clubs that are producing these players from the outset. So something that I'm big on.
Portsmouth's becoming a bit of an Aussie hub at the moment.
It is.
They've got Waddingham as well, who joined
Yankee.
recently and scored on his debut against West Brom.
Sort of 5-1 loss or something?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Scored already?
Yeah, it was 5-1 loss to West Brom, I think, and got on the score sheet like very late on the game.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad, that.
Arieth Piol's gone as well.
Arieth Piol.
Real Salt Lake was
Yeah.
ended up his being
800 grand, I think.
That's pretty good.
I think was the fee from Real Salt Lake for MacArthur.
Very
for
cool
Piol.
place to play football. Real Salt. I went to a game there.
You've been to a game there?
Yeah. Went to see
What's good about it?
it's the Mormon capital of the world, first of all. So plenty of strange people walking around, but it's a very picturesque stadium. Lots of mountains in the background, nice aesthetics, and a smaller market as well. You know, for football, you kind of keep your head down. I actually saw them play against LA Galaxy, and they beat them 3-0. It was when Gerrard was playing, and Robbie Keane were playing for Galaxy. So, but really, cool stadium. I think it holds about 20,000. MLS is seen in two different lights by, I think, Aussie football fans. One, it's like a sideways move, and then other people will obviously see that it's a better developed league with better players playing there, and that's probably how I feel. It is a little bit of a joke league at times with the amount of clubs that they have and the ridiculous final system where pretty much everybody gets a spot.
Everyone gets a go.
But in terms of where
because they're all socialists, Neil. They're all socialists.
But Real Salt Lake also, the other thing about them is they have quite a good history of doing well.
Yeah.
So it's a well established team.
Has there been a couple of Aussies go to Real Salt Lake? I know there's been a couple across the leagues across many years.
I don't think any Aussies have gone to Real Salt Lake, have they? Anyone?
I don't know.
That I can recall.
I know that there's been a few at the White Caps and stuff like that. I think Gavin Wilkinson was there for donkey's years. And Timberwolves as well. Portland Timbers.
And Brad Smith was at Seattle,
Houston,
Seattle Sounders anyway for a while. And he's but there's not too many Aussies have gone.
Just quickly, boys, before we start to move on, internal. I guess A-League club to A-League club. Mohammed Al-Tay goes from Wellington to Wanderers. Bloke by the name of Abdul Faisal was out there on the weekend for the Central Coast Mariners. Anything else that we've really seen?
Yeah, I want to bring one up because this one, we just spoke about Patrick Wood and what's the point of signing him? Well, they brought in Josh Sotirio. If I'm a Sydney fan, I'm thinking, why are we putting Wood out on loan and signing Sotirio, who...
And not a centre-back.
It just seems like a very strange business to bring in someone like Sotirio, who probably isn't going to have the same output as Patrick Wood's going to have. It seems like a downgrade. I don't get it at all.
It's silly. I mean, I think the only reason why is because he worked with Tale at Wellington. That's it. And I don't know when Sotirio's last professional game was prior to joining Sydney FC, but I think it was a fair bit back.
It was in India,
it was over a year ago because he did his ACL just after he signed.
Not the greatest WoW signing.
Good signing, Alex Gersbach for Wanderers. He's only 27.
Yep. Miloš Degenek decided against
Serbia.
victory.
And I think Langerak looked good for victory the other day. Thought he was very solid.
I thought it was a little bit harsh on Jack Duncan because I thought Jack Duncan had been all right in previous weeks as well.
Langerak is
Langerak's
the youngest looking 36-year-old you'll see. And I actually thought the Jets new guy that came on, Kota.
Yep.
The Japanese guy.
He put in some tasty corners, looked a little bit lively. He's got a good pedigree. I did hear him say afterwards that he was happy with the electrifying atmosphere, and I scratched my
That's a bit too calm.
Calm down. But no, he looks like a player that could make an impact for sure.
Good stuff. We put something out on social media, boys, and I hope you've all done your homework because obviously now with the new inclusions to the Perth Glory side, I've asked you kind of to come up with your Glory squad. Now, this is a hypothetical, but if you had to put out a team this weekend, you've been asked to move the magnets. Let's just say everyone in the squad is fit. James, give us your starting 11, and I want the 7 to go on the bench. Of course, the rules is that you must have one goalkeeper on the bench. And first of all, what kind of formation are you going with?
Jeez, I've had a lot of thought about this because I've tinkered and tailored with different options in my head because I'm a bit of a nerd. No, but I'll stick with the same system, the 4-2-3-1, and I'll go with Sale and goal. A back four of Yuto Misao, Tomislav Merchula, Adriano Labib, and Josh Risden. Two midfielders of Pennington and Gamulka, and the front four that I mentioned before of Joel and Asmo at left wing, Lockie Wales right wing, Jalen Pearman as the number 10, and Adam Taggart up front. For me, that is the best and most balanced lineup that the Glory could possibly put out for the rest of the season. And the bench would be Cam Cook, Zach Lizalewski, Takuya Okamoto, Brandon O'Neill, Trent Osler, Kwango, and Patrick Wood. I would have David Williams there if he obviously wasn't injured. But
fair enough. How's yours looking, Jaxon?
Yeah, very similar. I can adjust for injuries if need be because I've only made one change to the starting 11.
Yeah.
And if he was fully fit, I would probably have Mili Usnic over Anasmo just for the extra experience. And I think his output, if he was fit, and I'm looking for someone who's going to create and score on a semi-regular basis, I've got probably more faith in him than Anasmo. I think Anasmo's probably more suited to come on late like he did on the weekend. And then bench is pretty similar as well. Cook is the substitute keeper. Lizalewski. Williams probably gets the nod if he's fit. I'd more to Kudus, Okamoto, Wolf Rainey. I've been really impressed by him. Anasmo and Wood. Pretty sure that's 7. I think that's correct.
Yeah. Where are you at, Neil?
I was making this team because I don't do any prep for this, and you made me do preparation. I'm human.
Disaster.
Jesus. Just turn up and go home again. And I was looking at there was players I wanted to leave out, but I couldn't. So my team is actually the exact same as James's, apart from Lizalewski stays at left back because I can't put players I've never seen play. Mizao and Okamoto, no idea what they're like. Couldn't tell you if they can kick a ball.
Yeah.
And I've been bitten by visa signings in the past. So come back to me in a month and I'll tell you if either of them would make my starting 11. I've got them both on the bench along with Cook. Put more to Kudus on the bench. Osler, because I think he's been trusted and I actually rate him as a player. The issue I have with Osler is goals and assists. There's not really much productivity there. So he needs to lift his productivity if he's going to retain a spot in my squad. I've put O'Neill there because I think he's done okay coming off the bench as a starter. And I've put Freeney in there as well. Williams and Mili Usnic would come into consideration to Jackson's points, but you kind of said that it was for this weekend and then so I ruled them out. And look, if everybody is available, I'm not giving a Sydney FD player minutes. So Wood doesn't make the squad at all for me. I have no reason to put him in there. So I do think that Wales, Pearman, Taggart are 3 that pick themselves for the front 4. And then you add in Anasmo, Emilio Usnic, Osler. Ngo hasn't done anything for me to justify a place in the squad at the moment. I think he's had enough chances. Anasmo should get minutes above him, for example, right now. The one I wanted to leave out, I couldn't figure out who to put in there, was Gamulka, because I just don't see it. I saw it last year when he was playing in the A-League and looked like a really good player, but people keep putting him in this young player category. He's 23, nearly 24. That doesn't work for me. I just don't think the output is there. Again, I want my midfielders dictating play. Pennington does that. Gamulka's just he's there. I know he's there, but I'm not really sure what he's doing. And sometimes look, there's players in the teams that you need that you need guys who are going to be in the trenches, who are going to get their hands dirty. But I don't even see him chopping people down, and I'm just not sure what he does there. But then also, I couldn't pick anyone better, so I feel that's a position that Glory really need to upgrade. That's probably my takeaway
Pure
from
ball
this.
winning number 6 needs to be a priority. For
Yeah, because I think it will release Pennington, because I think you've been able to see that he can spray a 40-yard pass, and he's got a good engine. He can get forward, not as a 10, but he's your pure 8 for me. So yeah, we need to get in a good 6 in there, and that was what I was looking for in the squad, and I wasn't able to find one. So he stays in the team because I don't think he's a bad player. I just wish he'd show me more, a bit more of like last season's, where he can actually be a creative presence and somebody who dictates a game rather than just being part of a game, if that makes sense.
Well, considering where we are in the season, I've kind of gone a little bit by your playbook because I've left Gamulka out completely. I've gone with Sale at the back.
Can I just say, all the shit that I got and everybody's picked Ollie Sale. Well. Well.
Well, I've gone with Ollie Sale at the back. Despite his faults, I think that he's probably just a little bit more experienced.
Cookie hasn't done enough this season to show why he should be the number 1.
That's probably the
it's
good
not
way
like
of putting it.
It's not a case where you can just look at him and say, no, absolutely 100% he must be the number 1. No one really has, but I think Sale has just been a fraction.
So I've gone with Sale in goals. I've gone with Risdon, Labib, Michela, and Masao. I can't go past Labib. I thought he was dramatically missed on the weekend. I don't think we got enough out of Murtakutis. Not that he did anything wrong, but Labib's got the X factor. I feel
he's got legs.
Yeah, well, speed.
That's the thing. He's got legs,
yeah.
But I don't really. I'm still cautious when he's on the ball. Little bit panicky with his passes out from the back and a few dangerous things. But when it comes to turning to face your own goal, he's lightning quick. He's got good recovery. And I thought that was pretty evident with Murtakutis and Murchela playing together.
I just thought there was no lack of mobility there.
Yes, massively.
Yep. So I've gone Risdon, Labib, Michela, Masao. I've gone, and this is where your kind of conversation comes in, Neil, because I really feel like we're missing that 6. I've thrown Freeney in as a 6 start. I've got him in a 4-5-1 in a 5-man midfield with Wales, Pennington, Pearman, and Osler. And then I've got Taggart up front. I've got Cook, Okamoto, Anasmo, Wood, O'Neill, Lishalowski, and Williams on the bench. So very, very attacking.
Can I ask the miss out thing?
Yeah.
Why is he in the team?
Well, I guess at this
over Lishalowski, who I thought had a good game at the weekend.
It'd probably be on the basis of experience, and for me, I'd ideally like to see Lishalowski play as a centre back.
Maybe
his preferred position. I'm pretty sure he plays there for the.
He does. Yeah, no, it's definitely his preferred position. But I just don't see.
Well, I mean, if Masal's a out and out left back, I think that's probably kind of.
We also have another out and out left back who's a visa signing.
Yeah.
So, but does experience count?
Misal's won the Asian Champions League with Kashima, compared to Hamzawi, who's barely played professionals here for.
When did he win it?
Oh, you're gonna have to go back in the history book a little bit. So
credit in the bank is one thing, but
he's got something there.
I understand. I understand why he would go in and all of it. I find it hard when.
No, it's a fair argument.
I'm not a YouTube player kind of guy. I'd like to see them play before I get to.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, he's on my bench. I'll give him 10 minutes.
All right, we'll see how it all goes. I think this is going to be the question for the rest of the season: is how these guys all fit in together. And I guess that's what I've tried to do is give a little bit of food for thought there.
The other thing is, a lot of them are playing for contracts, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of these guys that have come in, and I don't mind it. I think not signing visa players to 18-month contracts midway through the season, because the issue with signing players mid-season is you only get the shit, right? You get guys who are free agents.
Yeah.
Who haven't had clubs for ages and haven't kicked the ball, or you get guys who are not wanted by their clubs. And why are they not wanted by the clubs? So signing those sort of players to long-term contracts is definitely not the way I would do it. So maybe Glory have learned, and we did see the. Do we want to talk quickly about the Stan and the Ben Smith really good piece that he did on the West?
Yeah, very quick.
Just about the history of the Glory over the last while. But Stan Lazaridis basically came out and said that maybe he got it wrong with his WoW signings and talking up players and saying that
But
they
I
were
think
the
it's all
second
right.
coming of Mo
I think
Salah.
it's all right to come out and say that. I think sometimes you've got to swallow your pride and you've got to come
Yeah.
out and say, "Look,
But that's my point. They're now signing these guys to 6-month contracts to see what they're like. That to me is a more cautious approach
Try before you
than
buy.
My concern is not locking in guys like Pearman and Labib, who we know who are going on to better things.
Well, Labib is done, but it's just Pearman.
Yeah, Labib's on until 27, end of 27. So
Pearman.
Pearman's another one. Will Freeney would be another one for me.
Yep.
That'd be the three.
there is a
Quite go with maybe a little bit of a question mark on what he's going to go on to.
I agree.
Just tailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
there are some teams being submitted if you want to on the old Facebook.
Oh, go. Yep,
People have
yep.
actually replied.
Cool.
So, one comment based on the opening night of the NPL, the Armadale striker scored 4 at the weekend.
Who was that? Peter Jacobs.
Yeah, scored them all. Cool. So 3 at the back is one team. So Blair Vojkovic has gone 3 at the back. Sale. Okamoto, Murchula, Labib. Wingbacks Risdon and Mizou. Cautious about Risdon as a wingback. Gamulka, Pennington, and a front 3 of Wales, Taggart, and Miljuznic. Cook, Lizalowski, Mordekudis, Osler, Freeney, Bierman, and David Williams if he was fit on the bench. Simon Ward has Sale, Okamoto, Labib, Murchula, Mizou. So Risdon dropped from the squad altogether. Osler, Pennington, Pierman, Wales, Taggart, Miljuznic. Subs, Cook, Mordekudis, Gamulka, Wood, and Asmo, Lizalowski, and Freeney. Hard to pick an A-League quality starting midfield from what we have to choose from. For a laugh, I would play the 11th placed NPL team to see if they would do any better. The answer is they definitely would not do any better. They would be destroyed by A-League teams. The jump from NPL to A-League is huge. And then another one from Matt says Cook, Risdon, Labib, Murchula, Mizou, Aoyama out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Pennington, Pearman, Wales, Williams, and Taggart. Sale, Hamzawi, Wild Hamzawi on the bench, and Asmo, Blair, Majeka Dumney, Wood, and then go. Majeka Dumney is an interesting one. Maybe just mention him quickly that we actually saw him at the weekend playing the last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, very interesting times.
Why?
I'm
Why?
not sure. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know where all these centre backs are going to go. Really.
And I know Labib. I know Labib was out like at last minute. So, but Majika what is it? The old AFL travelled as an emergency and then was on the bench. I don't know. I don't know. There's a couple more. Sorry, there are people here. We have to give the people their minutes. I know it's taking time, but we've got one from Finn on Twitter. Sale. Oh, he's done a little graphic and everything. This is cute. Risdon, Murchel, Labib, Mizou, then Pennington, Okamoto, Pearman, Wales, Taggart, and Wood. Boo, the Wood starting. Cook, Mordekudis, Lizalowski, Gamulka, Ngo, Osler, and Asmo on the bench. Now people are arguing about where Okamoto can play. Transfer market is being consulted. Then another one from Ewan. Sale, Risdon, Labib, Murchel, Mizou, Pennington, Gamulka, Wales, Pearman, and Asmo, and Taggart. So that front 4 seems pretty popular. Spirit of Alex Grant on the bench.
He'd be a good Wales signing.
And last one, because I know, Blayne, you're getting impatient. Sale, Risdon, Labib, Murchela, Lizalowski, Wales, Pennington, Gamulka, and Asmo, Pearman, Taggart. Subs, Cook, Barr, Majeka Dumney, Mizou, O'Neill, Wood, Osler, / Murdakudis. So my takeaway from all of this is that despite all the complaints, Ollie Sale starts in everybody's team.
There you go, the president of the Ollie Sale fan club, Mr. Neil Sherwin. We're going to take a bit of a break and we'll wrap things up after this.
Tired of the same old cookie cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service, and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Third and final part of the Far Post Perth podcast. Blayne Treadgold, James Renton, Jaxon, Bassett, Neil Sherwin. Just about set to wrap things up, gentlemen. Just a bit of a mention of the NPL on the weekend. Jaxon, you got some results for us?
Yeah, I got the 4 wrap from the weekend. Started off on Friday night, 6:30, Olympic Kingsway. 2-0 win over Fremantle City at Dorrien Gardens. And then the headline match of the night was Perth SC with 2-0 win over Perth Red Star.
Missouri.
Yeah, not going good for Perth Red Star at the moment, as we touched on. And then Saturday's action kicked off with Glory and Bayswater. Glory losing 2-1 at Alfred Skeet Reserve. And then, as we mentioned before, Peter Jacobs with 4 goals and a 4 win for Armidale over Balcatta Etna. And then Sunday produced a lot of goals. Sorrento 3, Florida 3-3 at Percy Doyle. And then Stirling Macedonia got the win against Western Knights 3-1.
Yeah, beauty. Good stuff. State League Night Series starts this weekend, so make sure you check out the Football West pages for all the info on how you can get around them. Let's have a brief look at the A-League Men's this week. Bit of a midweeker, boys. Who wins between Western United and Central Coast, James?
Western.
Jaxon?
Yeah, Western at home.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm going with Western as well. Friday night, the start of it might be the start of the new round. I can't tell because all these rounds are all over the shop at the moment. But Brisbane's taking on Western Sydney. Western Sydney have to bounce back.
They should bounce back. They should.
Brisbane.
Brisbane
to beat Western Sydney.
Draw. All right. I'm going to. Yeah, I think Stage he's got to have a rocket up them this week.
Needs to get the win.
Auckland v MacArthur over there in Auckland. The early game on the Saturday
should be a comfortable win for Auckland.
Auckland for me.
Yeah, I'll back.
Close Auckland win.
Close 2-1. Auckland win. Sydney v Adelaide. This should be a good one. Always pretty closely contested. Good rivalry, this one.
Adelaide to bounce back from the late equaliser.
Yep.
Draw.
Sydney's defensive shit, so Adelaide.
Adelaide, there you go. Central Coast v Newcastle is a double header, the F3 derby.
Draw.
Draw.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Newcastle have shown enough.
I think they're more likely to win than Central Coast are to win.
Yeah, interesting times. Newcastle win at Gosford. And no Sunday football, so the last game of the round is the late one on Saturday, Perth v Melbourne Victory. Which Perth Glory shows up, boys?
I can't trust this Glory side, so Victory.
Draw.
Victory will win in the game.
Yeah, I'm probably... My heart wants to say Glory, but
you've changed the last month.
No, I know.
You've no feelings.
It's knocked the optimism out of me. A-League Women's across the weekend. Friday, Western United take on Western Sydney. Sydney v Adelaide on Friday as well. Saturday, we'll see Central Coast v Newcastle. Melbourne City v Melbourne Victory. Canberra will host Perth. That is happening at 2 p.m, I believe, on Saturday afternoon. If you want to catch that one on 10 Play and Paramount Plus. And on the Sunday, Brisbane v Wellington. Boys, just to wrap up, any bold predictions, nonsense predictions, anything else that you want to leave us with?
It'd be nice if at the start of the game, Glory could announce Alex Grant as a new signing like United did with Rafa Varane in the season when Ollie had his last time.
How did that work out?
Not very well, but it would still be good
cool.
just for shits and giggles.
Now retired, Rafa Varane from injury, so cool. What else? Bold prediction. Yeah, see, I said a draw between Brisbane and Western Sydney, but I like Jackson's prediction of a Brisbane win because I think Stajic is under a lot of pressure and could go by the end of the season.
Oh, no. Could he?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of unrest from the fans, seeing a lot of chatter on the various socials that they do not like his style of play. I think if they do lose to Brisbane, it'll heap a hell of a lot of pressure on them and it could be a nail in the coffin.
Oh, Jaxon.
Multiple hat-tricks this round.
Multiple hat-tricks. So when we say multiple,
how many Victory players are getting a hat-trick?
Probably Bruno.
No.
Also, too, don't forget to check out our good mates, the Deanies, playing a halftime at the Perth Glory match as well. So
take your piss and miss a goal during the game instead of halftime.
Do that. Thanks very much, boys. Thank you very much to ID Athletic and Trio Host. Don't forget to grab the podcast wherever you get all your good podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music. Make sure you give us a follow on the socials, and we'll see you this time next week.